What is up, guys? What is up? What is up? VidMe, Steam it, YouTube, wherever you're watching. Glad you're here. I wanted to talk a little bit about cryptocurrency today and a little bit about what I invest in and how I invest. I consider myself a noob. I would consider myself a not like a true investor, more like a prepper or a tester. I like to test them. I like to test what's out there and see what happens. Some people are scared to death when they talk about cryptocurrencies and how it could affect you making money or losing money. And what I noticed about cryptocurrency is that I've been messing with it for a little over 2 years now. Some would think that's a long time, but I don't really think that's very long at all. Mainly because 2 years later, I'm learning more now than I ever even knew when I got started. And the scary thing about that maybe is actually that, I've been investing money, putting in money into it and not really knowing what I was doing. So I want to kind of talk about what I invest in and how I started and whatnot. So 2 years ago, I started investing in Bitcoin. Now, 2 years ago, actually, dang, that's a little bit longer than 2 years ago. Sorry. Probably about 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I started investing in Bitcoin itself. And Bitcoin was, as many of you know, has come up from like absolute nothing. I mean, I remember when Bitcoin, man, a long time ago when I was still working at Domino's Pizza, man, before I got in the Army and joined the Army. I remember Bitcoin being at like 25 cents, right? And then I remember as I was getting ready to get into the Army in 2009, I believe, I remember seeing the prices starting to go up $5, $10, and $15, and it started to get really big. But at that time, I was like, I don't even know what it is, and I don't want to put any money, my hard-earned money, into it. So I just kind of left it alone and just watched it. A little over 3 years ago, I started investing in Bitcoin. Mainly, I remember when it was around $325 Bitcoin is when I started actually investing in Bitcoin. And at that time I was like, man, I'll just, I'll get a Bitcoin, or I'll get two. And I didn't really know what it was going to do, if it would be there the next day, that kind of thing. So, frequently as the price grew, I would sell Bitcoin and take money out, and just for whatever I wanted, if it was video games or whatnot, whatever I wanted. And then I would buy back into it, keep it there as kind of like a little stash. But I didn't really know what the hell I was doing. And it's not until recently where cryptocurrencies have like literally taken hold of the world. When I say the world, I mean the world. Bitcoin is now adopted fully by Japan, it's gonna move into that direction where people are going to start using it. And I now see the potential of what it means to be an investor in cryptocurrencies, and why it's dangerous, and why you need to be careful as well. And I think cryptocurrency is moving towards the future of how currency is used in the worldwide. I mean, we are in a time where we're going to have another financial crisis, whether it's here in the United States or the UK. We are moving towards that inevitability where it is going to be absolutely devastating to use your country's current currency. The dollar has been losing for over the last 100 years. I mean, our Federal Reserve is hot garbage. You can even look at the Federal Reserve as its own cryptocurrency in a way. And why you think that's why the U.S. is so has a hard on and a freaking they're so upset that cryptocurrency and Bitcoin is taking off because they don't have a way to control that. It's now going against the Federal Reserve, and when it goes against the government, they're not going to be too happy, and they're going to find a way to make you pay, whether you're an investor or a trader or whatnot. But yeah, I got into Bitcoin, and I've been into it. I've always stashed money away in there, kind of like savings account, just because I felt like my money grew faster there than it did sitting in a savings account, or a CD, or even a mutual fund. And mutual funds are actually they're nice, but most mutual funds, if you really want a good return, you have to invest more money. Some of them have minimums of like $10,000 or $20,000. But if you want to really get your money's worth out of a mutual fund, you really need to invest a lot of money, 20, 30, 40, $50,000, stuff like that. But nowhere have I seen the greatest returns on your investment with Bitcoin in particular, right? I've turned I've turned pennies, man, into some cash. Spending cash. I mean, I've always treated it like that, but now I really see the potential. It's growing. It's growing, as you can see. It's over $1,800 right now, and it's crazy, man. Now there are some 2 years ago. If you see ETH right here, right next to Bitcoin, ETH, that's Ether, Ethereum, if you want to call it that. Ethereum is what the name is. When that came out, I tried to convince my wife to let me do the ICO, the crowdfund, if you will. And I wanted to get into it. And I think at the time, I believe it was like Bitcoin was like $600 a Bitcoin. It was like, it was about $600 a Bitcoin. And I think the ICO was, I think you got about 2,000 Ethereum coins. If you bought into crowdfunding with one Bitcoin, you got about 2,000 Ethereum coins. And I begged her to let me just do it. She didn't want to let me do it. And I think at that time I had 2 Bitcoin. And I was going to take both of them and get into it. And she said no. And so I said, all right, whatever. So when it finally opened to the public, I did buy quite a few, but not anywhere near what I would have got, you know what I mean? And a little over 2 years later, when I really what spiked my interest about really delving into what cryptocurrencies were, why they were created, and what they were really necessary for, I really started to look into the potential, like I said, a little more closely. And as you can see, Ether right now is trading at about $88, but within the last couple of days, the last week, it's been going anywhere from into the mid 90s and kind of staying around that area. And now you see it's kind of dipping down. It's been steady around 90, but we'll see how it ends up finishing the day. But as you can see now, it's pretty far up there, right? So I was kicking myself thinking, man, I could have bought 2 Bitcoin worth 4,000 Ethereum coins 2 years ago. I could have done that, right? I could have done that. Let me grab something real quick. I could have done that. Now let me move this over. And what that does, what made me really start thinking was I multiplied what I would have had versus obviously what would be now. So I'm gonna let's do it with 88, let's say $89. I would have had today, if I didn't sell off any Ether, if I would have kept my 4,000 coins, I would have had an amount right there. Right there, as you can see it. 4,000 coins would have netted me, if I decided to sell today, right now, that's a ballpark of what I'd be looking at in my account right now. Right? So I showed the wife this, right? I showed the wife this and tried to really explain to her what we didn't do versus what we should have did. And she's very skeptical about everything. And when I told her, I saw her mind working. I saw the cogwheels turning, and I didn't know if she thought it was bullshit or not, but I wanted her to see the potential of cryptocurrency. And she must have obviously seen it, because she was just like, holy crap, are you serious? And I'm like, I'm dead serious. Stupid. You know what I mean? It just boggled my mind. I've just thought about it, and it's like kicking your own self in the ass, man, because you're just like, I knew if I should have just did it and sat on it, something good eventually would have happened. And, you know, it just goes to show me that you don't chase the winners, and you get in before all the hysteria, and you just kind of have to sit on your investments, man. That's my strategy. Other people have churn and burn strategies where they buy a lot and they sell quick. That's another strategy. I personally don't like that method. I don't like to chase the numbers every day and see where what's at and what's going on. And I like to kind of sit on my investment and let it work for me, kind of like I have been doing with Bitcoin. And it's been working out. I mean, $1,800 for Bitcoin, nobody would have ever thought. Now, it is predicted that it's actually like $1 million coin in its value in its entirety. But, I mean, it's going to, I feel like it's been skyrocketing so much that eventually it is going to plateau, and then it is going to come back down a little bit. Not as far down as where it was. We saw it this year go all the way down below 1,000, and that was because people were dumping their stock. People started dumping their Bitcoin. They thought it was going under, and people got a chance to buy real low again. I see it going down, plateauing and going down no further than like $1,200. You know what I mean? The price of an ounce of gold. That's what I see. And then being able to level back out and go back up again. That's kind of how I feel is going to happen with Bitcoin before it hits its next milestone. It was predicted that it was going to hit $2,000 this year. I predicted that it was going to hit $2,000. I just didn't honestly believe it was going to happen this quickly. I mean, we're at $1,800 now, and we're not even in summer yet. Technically, we're May, but I just didn't see. I thought this would probably happen around Christmas time this year, and it hasn't. It's been going up, and it seems to not really be stopping now. As it reaches a new plateau, a new 100, it does show some dropping off, but then it just seems to go right back up around 12 o'clock, and 11 p.m., 12 a.m. It's kind of weird. It's really, really strange, but Bitcoin, I feel, is it's a great way to, I think it's a great place to put your money and not have to necessarily worry about it. You always have to worry, but not necessarily worry about what's going to happen to it tomorrow. For example, if I put $500 in today, I don't feel like I'm going to miss anything or be sad if I don't get anything over, significantly over $500, my worth. Like I said, I mean, you keep your money sitting in a savings account and it gets really no interest. Come on, it's not real money. It's pennies. And you can buy stocks and bonds and see your money move. But those are also a risk. This is just a risky game. My philosophy behind cryptocurrency is never invest anything that you wouldn't miss. I'll say it again. Never invest anything that you wouldn't miss. I'll explain that. If I'm going to invest $1,000, I have to invest that $1,000 with the mindset that I want this $1,000, I want my money to work for me. I'm looking to make a profit long term, right? I have to resolve within myself that when I put this $1,000 in here to potentially grow faster than any mutual fund or savings account or money market account, etc., etc., I have to be okay with the thought of losing the value of $1,000, the money that I put in. So if it's starting to go horribly wrong and I'm down, my $1,000 is now turned into 900 or 800 or 700, 600. I'll pull it out and I'll lick my wounds and I'll move on. But I have to be okay with whatever my initial investment is being lost. And I think that's where a lot of people get hung up on. A lot of people say, don't buy cryptocurrency, go buy, silver, gold, precious metals. I also, don't get me wrong, I also stack a lot of I won't say a lot. There's a lot of others that stack more than me. I stack bullion. I stack precious metals as well. I love precious metals. I love it. I love it. But I look at precious metals. I don't even look at precious metals as even like a long-term gain. I look at precious metals as a like a storage of wealth, if that makes any sense. Meaning that if the shit hits the fan, I lose my job. I lost my job. Well, I didn't really lose my job earlier this year. I got out of the Army, and that time that I was out, that's when your brain and everything, your reality of what's going on around you actually kicks in. You are afraid of being homeless, and you're afraid of being homeless when you have a family, wife, kids. And so I started thinking like, damn, as I'm putting on all these applications, I'm starting to think, what do I have in a reserve? You know what I'm saying? Like, what do I have in reserve? And I looked at all that silver and gold and bullion that I had stacked. And, that was a time where I was actually grateful that I said, you know what? All that money that I put into, getting all this bullion, stacking all this bullion, I was like, this could be the time where I actually need it right now. You know what I mean? The exact value of that item right then and there, no matter what I had bought it at, actually it's worth more than what I bought it at. But I felt like this is the time that you would need something like this. You know what I mean? Even, for example, like if you're going to go get a car or something like that, we need another car. So I'm actually looking at, potentially separating with some of my bullion just to be able to have a down payment, and it doesn't have to come out of my pocket right away. So when I look at precious metals, that's how I look at the use of precious metals, a backup. I don't look at it as and check the market every day and like, oh my God, it's rising. It went up $2. I better sell. You know what I mean? Like, I don't look at it like that. It's long-term hibernating. Like, that shit ain't waking up. It's only going to wake up unless I have a crisis. Unless the White House gets hit tomorrow. Stock market goes down. I got that as backup. You know what I mean? Cryptocurrency is a bit different. I look at it as a long term, but I'm watching the numbers. It's kind of like stocks. I'm watching the numbers, but I don't get upset. I don't get upset when I buy low. For example, when I bought into Ether, when I bought into Ethereum, I was buying in at like $8 when I was buying in. I mean, look at the gap now. It's $88.17 right now for Ethereum. So it would have to get down to like $10 before I say, you know what? I'm going to sell this shit right now. Because if it went down that low from how high it's gone now, something's wrong. Something's really, really, really wrong. And I want to have that buffer of time, that $10 buffer of time to decide to sell it, so I don't have a loss. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I look at it. I'm not looking at any particular time to flip it. I'm just looking at, I want to see how it grows, and at what point do I feel like its full potential has been reached, or if it has capped or maxed out. That's how I look at cryptocurrency. I don't like to jump into something just because everybody else is talking about it. I don't like to sell something because everybody else is talking about it. When I buy cryptocurrency, I buy it to hold, right? I buy it to hold. Some people don't have that, like I said, that philosophy on it. But that's initially what I do. I look at it as in terms of in a distant time from now, it'll work for me harder than any mutual fund or anything that I can invest my money inside of a bank or something. This could do better. And that's how I feel about the cryptocurrency space, the cryptosphere, and the people that are in it. I mean, it's such a great community, I feel. There are some negative Nancy's in there, but I mean, it's a really, really great atmosphere to be in, and people to deal with. I love it. Let's see. Wife's not feeling good. So, like I said, I now deal with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and LiteCoin. And those are the three, in my opinion, top dogs, in my opinion, that I would consider as a newbie investing in. And you really have to do your homework, do some of your own research. You really have to do some of your own research. The big thing that I found out about people and myself who don't really know anything about cryptocurrency, they kind of just look at it as in terms of how can I flip my money? So they don't really know what a blockchain is. They don't know what Bitcoin stands for. They don't know, when they're looking at Ethereum, what the platform is going to be used for. They don't know any of those intricacies of it. So it's hard for them to distinguish what it is versus how I get my money back. So most people, I believe, there's two types of people that I've met that I've distinguished so far in the space. And that's people who like to trade for profit. And there are people that like to back a project and hope to profit. And there's a big difference. People that like to trade simply have money in mind, in game, flipping cash. So they know and care enough only to see what its potential is going to be. And those are usually the people that are usually, they're churning and burning. They're flipping really quick. They buy and sell real quick. And you'll see the pump and dump going. And when the pump is high, you got to have that right timing to get out and dump everything to make a profit and stuff like that. Those are those kind of guys. And then you got the guys that love the intricacies of what the coin is bringing to the game, how it's being used on a blockchain and how it's being used to actually make it better, right? And the more you know about something, I feel like the better it is, because you have a better idea of what you probably should be doing, or how much you should be investing, or maybe not investing at all. And and stuff like that. Yeah, I think you just have to really, people have no clue. When they hear Bitcoin, they just think of a dollar bill. Oh, I heard Bitcoin was like money. It's like a dollar bill. But they don't really know what it is or how it's affected. And so it's really hard to put your money into something on a hope and a prayer when you don't know anything about it. So I would suggest everybody go out there and get some knowledge about what you're going to be investing in before you just go put money in like I did. Fortunately, I didn't lose anything, but it was kind of a stupid mistake to do something like that because just not a costly mistake. I would suggest doing your research. But let me know what you guys think. Like I said, I'm probably going to be doing a little more of these videos because this has been a real kind of passion of mine for a long time, but I just never really talked about it. And, it's kind of nerdy, and I am kind of a nerd. I like to do tech stuff, but I never really get into stuff like this. But it's such a big deal. It's such a big deal. And I just felt kind of compelled to just start talking about it. So I'd like to know how you guys feel over there at VidMe, YouTube, Steam It, and anywhere you're watching. Just let me know how you feel about it. If you are an investor, what you invest in. Like I said, there are over 700 different types of cryptocurrency coins out there, tokens, if you will. They're out there. There are plenty of cryptocurrencies that are getting ready to enter the market. There is one that I'm thinking about entering in the market, but you'll see that on the next video. So I'll keep that one for a little bit later. But like I said, there's the market is flooded, and they all have a different reason of why they exist. Some of them are trash, some of them aren't. Some of them aren't. Some of them are actually have some pretty cool goals in mind to help things that we do on a daily basis work better, or faster, more efficient. So always know about what you're going to invest in and try to see the potential in its growth, short-term versus long-term, and stuff like that. But let me know how you guys feel about cryptocurrency. If you are an investor, if you have been burned, if you don't trust it, if you want to try to get into it, but you don't really know how. It is kind of intimidating, but it's not as intimidating. So like I said, let me know in the comments below, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace.